Aandrea Stang, welcome to Coming We're Open. How do you define social practice?
Hi, Janet. I think that's a great question. Although very broad and as a result a little foreboding for me. As you know, and as your audience may or may not know, I spent the last 4.5 years working at the Museum of Contemporary Art in Los Angeles on their engagement party program, developing it with my colleagues, and then inviting artists who were engaged in performative social practice work to be in residence for 3 months at a time, and the artists created large-scale event-based artworks once a month during their residencies for each of the 3 months that they were in residence. And so what is social practice is something that I have been talking about until August. I was talking about on a weekly basis for 4 years. And I think while I think I have an intuitive understanding of it now, I don't know. I think that conversation has made me continually question it and think about it. But I think the basic sort of definer for me and for our program was about participatory art forms, where where an audience member or an audience body has to participate in the artwork in order for the work to be complete. How's that?
That's great. Is there a particular example of one of the engagement parties that you'd like to give us?
Sure. Well, it's hard to think about.
Well, maybe a next question then.
Yeah.
What do you think are some of the main challenges facing social practice and its practitioners today?
Well, I think one of the big questions is, where does this work live? Does it live in sort of more in, does it live in cultural institutions and museums, or does it live in other spaces that aren't necessarily arts organizations? And if, depending on where it lives, how does that impact the work? That would be my sort of biggest question right now.
So how do you see that evolving in the future? So if participation is the key for you, where do you think that's going to go in terms of the location of the work?
That's a good question. I think that the nature of museums is changing, and if art museums are looking for how to continue to maintain and develop their audience, they seem to be interested in participatory artwork. So I think there may continue to be a home for this work in cultural institutions, specifically in museums. However, I don't know. I think that rubs up against what some of these projects are, because as you and I have talked about, some of the projects are long-term. Some of the projects have the visible components of the projects are very small and very intimate, and I think should the museums choose to continue to work with, well, if museums continue to work with social practice artists, I think that they need to be more thoughtfully engaged in terms of how they will do it. And, be ready for that small, intimate artwork, or that long, durational piece, or any number of sort of other ideas that could come up.
Do you think that they will be? Do you think, are there signs that that is beginning to happen? And if not, what might be the result for social practice as it develops?
I think there are some signs. Different institutions are hiring with that specifically for social engagement, public practice. At the same time, though, because the work is not necessarily about objects on the wall, and it makes for a different relationship between the institution and its spaces and the work. There needs to be a different social contract between the artists and the institutions, and I think that's the thing that really needs to evolve. Sorry, not revolve, evolve.